Darren Till and Kelvin Gastelum.
That's another tough one. Can Till get back on track? Can Gastelum get back on track? Both guys are hungry. That's going to be a really good fight. That's a good matchup. I like Till a lot, but I would, if I was betting on it, I would probably bet on Gastelum.
Till and Gastelum.
Gastelum.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I like Till as well, but I just think that the wrestling and the pressure and the boxing of Gastelum is going to be a lot for him. Even though he's not a huge guy at 185, Till's also a 70-pounder coming up, so I think he'll be surprised at the pace that Gastelum's able to put on him.
Okay, so Till's going up one weight for this one.
Till is? I'm gonna say Gaston.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No problem. Darren Till and Kelvin Gastelum.
Darren Till, they just go up, the division now. So let's see what they bring, But I think he's a little bit more fast, But it's gonna be a good show for you guys watching.
Also fireworks. Have to back Darren Till though. I'd like to see him get back in winning column, and yeah, I hope he gets a knockout.
I think Kevin might want to win because I think it's the first fight the guy go up in the division. You need the time to adapt to the new division. I think Kevin's going to win this fight.
Obviously, you got your training partner as well. That's going to be fighting in New York. How do you think that fight goes down? Break that down for us.
I think it's a tough fight, but I think if Till gets his range on him, he can beat him for sure. He can definitely beat him.
Yeah, I think this is the right weight class for him. I've said this for his last two training camps as well. I think the best years of Darren Till's career are at middleweight. And as we've seen online on his social media, he looks like a monster at this weight class already. He was going to grow into middleweight very quickly, and I think that his best performances will be at that weight class because he's not battling with the scales. He's going to be able to hit much harder at middleweight as well. And I think Gastelum's a great pick. I mean, Gastelum is a welterweight that doesn't make weight anymore. I mean, he's really one of those fighters that's caught between the two weight classes. Gastelum could do with a 177 kind of weight class, which is right between the two. So he's always at a disadvantage because he's fighting bigger guys, but because he's got such good knockout power and good timing, he's able to overcome these guys with speed, as he was with Michael Bisping. Whether he can do that with Darren Till or not, I'm not sure. I think Darren's picked a good fight for him to move up to middleweight, and I think with the power and the skills that he's got, I think he might be able to cause Gastelum some problems. I'm leaning slightly towards Darren Till, but at the same time, because I've seen what Gastelum can do, it really is a coin toss, this one. Well, this is the Darren Till without the concern about weight cutting. The times that we've seen him previously this close to a fight, you can see in his face and in his body language that he's struggling a little bit. He's not enjoying himself as much. The best fighters are always the ones that are enjoying themselves. You always see the fighters perform their best when they're in that kind of loose, comfortable flow state where there's nothing else on their mind other than fighting. And I think that's what we saw from Darren today. And there were some technical things that stood out. As a middleweight, he always hit very hard as a welterweight anyway, but it sounds to me like he's hitting really hard as a middleweight. Cutting angles really nicely, getting to the outside of Gastelum's lead hand, pressuring him all the time as well. So even when Colin had kind of turned and walk away, Darren was right on his heel, making sure that the pressure was still on. And that's the programming that Colin, I feel, was talking about, making sure that Darren's fighting at the pace that he wants to set. I've just always felt, watching Darren's previous fights at welterweight, that his best years are always going to be at middleweight. And I feel like he took this in his stride today. He looked good, he looked confident, he had a good workout, got a sweat on. I'm confident that he's going to get on the plane to New York ready for this fight. I think the smart thing for Kelvin to do would be to grapple. I think Darren would have watched his last fight against Masvidal back and realised that one of the reasons why he got caught is because Masvidal level changed until leant away and put his hands out. So I think if I'm Gastelum watching that fight, I'm throwing those things in just as a question, just as a smokescreen to kind of hide everything else that I'm doing. Throw off the break. Exactly, yeah. The thing is with Gastelum, because he's southpaw as well, he wants to come over the top with that left hand. If he constantly keeps coming over the top, that's the only trajectory that Darren has to worry for. Whereas if he keeps level changing as well, there's a second narrative there to think about, which you have to choose one or the other. Do you defend the takedown when he's already on your legs, or do you defend the shot when it's already coming over your guard. I think it'd be the smart thing to do for Gastelum, but to be honest, I think this will be a boxing match. With Gastelum being the shorter fighter, the tie clinch is something he's got to watch out for. As you saw when Darren was hitting the pads today, he stands very high. He's very tall on his toes, which means that if you're the shorter fighter, especially if you've got a level change to come over the top, you're going to feel like he's the taller fighter. And Darren's very good at bearing over people. So when they do level change, they're right there for that tie clinch. We saw him bringing that knee up the centre a few times today as well. So I think there's a lot of things for Gastelum to be concerned about if he does close distance in a straight line and too quickly. Gastelum's got to be smart about how he uses his angles, like he did against Bisping. Draw the first shot and then use his head movement to slip out the way and counter. But again, what we saw from Darren on the pads today is that he's expecting those counters and he's working around them, countering counters, as you would expect from high-level strikers.